Hello and welcome. It's time for another detailed altcoin analysis video. And today we're going to take a look at Nexus, ticker symbol NXS, which is currently ranked in at number 118 amongst other cryptocurrencies via that of market cap. And its market cap is at 65,000 almost, and 65 million rather, or over 10,000 in Bitcoin. $1.6 million traded per day. At least that's over the last 24 hours. That's not an average. That's just the last 24 hours. And with the price down 3% against Bitcoin, it's in at 18,542 Satoshi. There's a circulating supply of 50 million of these. And where do we find it traded? It's traded on Binance, 1.2 million when you include that against Binance. But notice that it's only an $81,000 trade. There hasn't been any major moves. I'll show you the chart. But you have the opportunity for monster buy and sell orders that could hit. If someone with big funds decides to buy or sell it really big and get one of those nice little long lines on the chart, because somebody doubles, triples the price, but that's really artificial, but the trades are not. You also got trade by trade, which has it as well as Upbit. Cryptopia barely hanging in there for volume, only 1,548. Gives opportunities for arbitraging. If you see maybe you can buy for 2-3% cheaper or better, or same thing for selling by selling multiple percents higher than its given price. Well, you can sell on one exchange, buy on the other, and basically get free Bitcoin, get free Nexus coins along the way, however you choose to do so. That's one option. And let's take a look at this now via the chart. We'll first take a look at this against Bitcoin. We'll then take a look at it against Binance Coin, and then finish it off against the US dollar. When we take a look at this, this is the weekly term time frame. Very choppy. When you look at this, it looks like a whole bunch of nothing happened from the start of 2015. This thing is over 3.5 years old now. Very impressive. But a whole bunch of nothing happened, and then a little bit of something, a little bit more, and a lot more. And then this wild correctionary move. Notice the bottom two numbers are 503,000. That's a 6x move. I mean, from 80,000 to 60,000, that's a 1.33x move. This does not do much justice at all. So then, let's take a look at this chart via coin market cap. And we have the log scale amongst here. And no, a lot of stuff did happen in here. But what we have is a situation where you have point low to point high. Along the way, there were several higher lows and several higher highs. I'm not going to draw the lines in for the highs, but you can see them. I'm not going to draw a trend line, but the trend line has obviously been broken that connects those lows. I'll maybe try to do a new one. And we can see that it looks like it might be breaking, and then you'd have to make a new uptrend line if, of course, one desires to have them. So then, when I look at this now, I got the point A low. I'm not going to draw it in, but this is a much noticeably higher high from the lowest point. Highs and lows are known after the fact, because from that low, what market price did was have a retest of previous high, but it obviously sold off and is pretty close to the low, much more closer to the low than it is that of the high. Because markets could do three things: up, down, or sideways. Well, up, it's been going sideways ever since. So it's going to remain such until it either goes up or down. So whichever side of the range that it does is what it's going to do. Breaking out above this is resumption of the bull market after a long sideways correction. And breaking it down below here would be looking for the next leg lower, and of course lows and highs are known after the fact. This low, which we would think is the current low, would be deleted and changed to whatever the new low happens to be. And then we can now say that this is a high no matter what, because it's been enough time, I guess, if you're looking at it from the perspective of bull market, just because of the time. And you could even say that this is a key low too, but the highs and lows only represent that of its neutral range. And if a price action manages to go somewhere below here, as far as the ignoring of the sideways move, you would have this low, this high, and whatever this low happens to be. And oftentimes, when you get stuff like that, you're either going to get amazing buying opportunities, or the coin is worthless and it could go to nothing. But we'll talk more about that when we look at this against the US dollar. But it's in the sideways range. I got Fibonacci available right now. The 22,000 area represents 23.6% down from the lows and the highs. And it's obviously been having a lot of time within it. When you look at a move like this, and let's just move this to a daily now. When you look at this here, this is a very interesting situation, because that high was a retest of the March highs, pierced below it, but close enough. But what it definitely did was break well past this level of resistance. So this is a double failed move, really. Double because you got this, and then you have this as well. And when you have this type of move, if it's going to be a realistic, real good move, how is it going to handle it? And that's why when I look at key areas, like say between the 27th, around 25,000 to 29,000, when it came down there, it didn't support that. So that move showed up to be a failure. And then we see here from June the 13th, for a week and a half, it didn't have much of a rally, and it barely had one here. And then it's been falling. And even since the last leg lower here on June the 24th, there's been 3 days of this going sideways, and now it's starting to curve over as well, looking as if there's going to be further decline. I did own this before. I own none of this. I got out of it. I got out of a few coins, and I'll be looking to get back in. When? Well, definitely when Bitcoin goes to 3,000. If it does, I'll be looking to accumulate many alternate coins, and I probably have a small position size even before then, as my plan is if Bitcoin makes the fall at around 5,000, I'm going to make small buys and then larger buys at about 3,000 and accumulate, and I'd have the Bitcoin available from selling US dollar tether. But its next Fibonacci level is that of 89,000. And it only goes down to this level. After all, the last time it came down there, it pierced above. If you're looking for previous level, you're looking at about 10 to 12,000, 13,000 to match up with this point of support. Let's take a look at this next against the BNB crossing. It only has been around for a little bit. So let's take a look. As this is the extent of the data. It's been going straight down, but I mean, Nexus has been going down for several days since that failed breakout. And Binance Coin is holding in relatively well. What we haven't seen on this is that of these big lines going up or down, or people who sell or buy from this exchange really large. That it can happen at any time, and it may not, but a lot of them happen, and this would be one candidate I think would have a decent chance of doing so, especially when we see how tiny the volume was amongst the exchange when it's trading at 81,000 a day compared to the Bitcoin exchange, which is doing about 13, 14 times that amount. We see this on, say, a 3-hour time frame to get... we can just see what some of the volatility has been. Volatility has been relatively low recently. So when things pick up, we can expect it to be higher than this. But in the morning of June 18th, this was 866. And then the morning of June 20th, 2 days later, this got up to like 106. That's a difference of about 20 basis points or about 25% for this move. So pretty decent volatility overall, allowing this to be day tradable. And with the smaller rank on Binance, that's a lot of opportunities as well. And this is where I would most likely trade it when I re-enter back into such the code. Let's take a look at this finally against the US fiat currency. And I have the weekly term time frame up. Let's just look at the low and the high here. The low is 0.0008. That is less than 10% of 1 penny. Then it rallied from 2016 all the way up to the end of 2017 into 2018. So after being less than a small fraction of 1 penny, it got over 1,500 pennies. The differential in price from top to bottom it's 1.6 million divided by 70. So we're talking about a 20,000x return amongst this move. Just your standard. It's not standard. It's extreme. Even for the crypto space is such. $1.55 and change represents a 23.6% correction. I'm going to take a look at this now the rest of the way from the daily term. And after the top, it found its lows in February at its 23.6, like Bitcoin did in February. Then it had a decent sized rally, like Bitcoin did. And then it pulled back at the end of March to the 23.6 level, like Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin had a pierce above its high. This one did a pierce below. And then a smaller rally, again, just like Bitcoin did. And now what has happened is it has came back down, again below this level of support, but we've seen it resist this key Fibonacci point at 155 rather than that of support it. When we look at the last decent down move beforehand on June the 24th, it had about 3 days going sideways. We see it rolling over continuously. So we've had a nice fall from the 155 point. And that means that I'm going to be looking for the next support to come in at 35 cents. This would be greater than a 3x loss if Bitcoin barely has greater than a 2x loss. And technically it would be a 2x loss because the actual Fibonacci, when I calculated just quickly this morning, came up at 3,100. But nonetheless, if Bitcoin goes down to 3,000, you could almost, just as a form of speech, bet the farm, don't do that literally though, that it's going to go down to about 30 cents. A pierce below 26, 27, 28 cents wouldn't be a surprise for something like that to occur. But you have wild moves up, wild moves down. So if you buy this at a third of a penny, knowing it had a previous high at $15, which is 45 times in differential, then that's a huge, huge, huge move. After all, when you go from 0.0005 to over 10, that's wild. Could it do something like this again? Well, who knows what the capabilities are. If this breaks above the higher high from there, then you'd have like maybe another 100, 200, 300x gain. A lot of risk, but most certainly a large amount of reward amongst this code. And really for all of them. But this just is amongst the more volatile looking cryptocurrencies that you're going to find. So for myself as a trader, I have exited out of this position. I exited out of a few of them. I'll be looking to get back in, but this is in a downtrend right now. So I'm going to wait and then at some point enter back in to the market. I got out on June the 20th at the 23,000 handle. And again, I'll be looking to get back in at a later date, but not now because I see further decline happening. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And like always, everything is within your own risk, own reward for the decisions that you make. For myself, portfolio management and understanding risk reward and managing such is always job number one. I'd like to thank you for the suggestions and comments, as this one and the BCN yesterday were thus via suggestion. Status Network has also been suggested. That will be coming up in the next little bit as well. And if you have any suggestions you may be looking at, then please feel free to post them in the comments section, but limit them to one or two. If you pick two, then I'm going to pick the one. So if there's one you really want to see, put it in the comments below. Make sure, though, that it's traded on either Binance, Poloniex, or Bittrex so I can view it amongst TradingView. Take care and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.